Hello. Today we're going to talk about the Wetlands Soul, and what this represents is I walk out into the wetlands almost every day going hiking, and there's a balance of energy that is between the land and the plants and the animals and also the water. There's also different types of ecosystems that create energy, such as the sun and the moon. And you have a balance of energy with the trees in terms of fallen trees and the decay and the decomposition of the plant matter. So, what we're going to do is we're going to create a blank canvas here. I use these paper plates because they're easily to create a design. And so I suggest that you can kind of color something like this too. When you go out into the wild, if you observe something that is natural, like a positive state versus a negative state, and it's balancing back and forth, or maybe it's like wind or other things that you're noticing, you can actually represent it with art very easily. So I'm going to start out by creating a wave shape. And so that would represent the water to me. It's kind of saying that the water sometimes is up, sometimes is down, and there's a peaceful balance, of energy between the different states. So we can also put some kind of swirl in here, sort of like waves and ripples. As the birds are in the water, I notice that there's all different types of things going on. So let's put some birds here and just kind of represent the environment the way we want to remember it. Here, look, we'll use a darker marker for those birds so that you can see it. All right, great. Now, with the wetlands, there's actually also lots of vegetation and different type of, like I said, decomposition of matter, or even fresh new plants and new flowers that are growing. Everything's pretty peaceful and it looks very nice in the wetlands. There's all kinds of wildlife living their best life. And that's what this video is going to be about as well. When you have a balance between love and hate and all these different types of energies that could happen in this ecosystem, you kind of need there to be something that's going to bring it to an equilibrium, something that'll bring it to an even state, and that's the universe. So what I have here is a diagram that's going to show us something that we can talk about. And what I'd like to indicate here is I noticed that as you enter into a new phase in life, you might actually have the opportunity to give admiration or joy or even do something positive for the people around you or for the environment. And that brings more love. So that's like a +1 in society, where you're basically really fun to be around, or you actually have a lot of good qualities about yourself that people gravitate towards, and that makes you more capable of handling these types of situations. So I would recommend that positive energy and thinking positively about what your environment is and trying to appreciate what you have. Now that does bring it down to a peaceful balance, which is the state of zero. And so I'm kind of talking about this wave here where we say if there's negative energy, if there's more despair towards hatred and towards, kind of fear, there might be something over on this side. So kind of like the wetlands, how it balances energy out between the waves and the water and the greenery of the grass or anything else, it actually is an opportunity. Like I said, the universe is going to take care of this. If you've ever seen something like the yin and the yang, or there's all different types of analogies for this or metaphors, and I don't mean to say it's just that, but essentially what we're all doing is we're describing the same thing. So if you look at something like a flower, like how many petals is on the flower, or what is going to make it so that there's enough animals around to benefit from the flowers? Do the flowers just keep growing, 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 and there's no animals to smell it? I don't think so. I think the animals have to come to smell it in order for the nature to know to make more flowers. And it's almost like there's a kitchen going on and they're deciding what's on the menu every day. So that's how it looks when I go to the wetlands. The wetlands is a smaller area. It's an ecosystem and a balance of energy and harmony. And there's all different types of things that could happen that would bring it to those different states. And so that's very important as part of this video, to understand this balance between love and hate, hope and despair, admiration and fear, and other different types of inverse effects. So I have something written here called the time loop, and what I wanted to say is that as you enter a new phase in life, you might be given the opportunity to give admiration or share more love. But then as time goes by, you may also be given the opportunity to have despair, fear, hatred, other qualities that might bring the universe down a little bit. And so that could create this wave. Now, at the end of that, you're also going to be given the opportunity to come back and experience that all over again. But that's why I have A or B here, because really what ends up happening is that if you give too much on one of these, let's say you give too much love or even too much despair or hatred, you actually could be the imbalance, right? And so then you're going to be part of the solution to bring it back up. So it's like positive and negative energy, or anything that you would want to think about that's the difference here is something balanced on peacefully in between, and the universe is going to sort of push its way towards one way or the other. So that's what I've figured out. And so we'll go back to our diagram here. We'll finish doing this real quick. So I'm going to say that the wetlands is an ecosystem. So I'm going to put like a whole entire thing around there and say that there's sunshine shining in, okay? Just imagine what you had observed before when you're in nature, and you can create this yourself. You can understand what it is that is happening out there. So let's put the moon in here. Sometimes he comes in and is able to kind of help the environment with reflecting. You know, what I heard from the red moon this last few weeks ago, we had a blood red moon, which basically was saying all of the sunsets and all of the sunrises have been absorbed into the moon. And then when the sun was not there, the moon had so much energy that it was able to reflect back all of that absorbed light from before. So something along those lines. And I'd be happy to share it with you if you have questions in the comments. There was an article I found about this that was saying that the moon had absorbed all of these sunrises and sunsets over time, you know, thousands upon thousands of them, and then finally was able to give it back. So it's a very beautiful thing to see. All right, so let's put in a couple more. We didn't even do the trees yet, so I'm getting better at these videos. If you guys bear with me, I'm actually interested in learning, and so I'm just kind of making this up as I go. But there's no harm, no foul. You can draw this with your kids or anybody else, and you can actually come up with things that are your own ideas to make observations about the environment. So if I put some trees in here, there's also lots of dead logs everywhere and branches and sticks. One time I saw like a little coyote in the woods, and it was really cool. So, you know, there's all different types of animals, maybe like a little bunny here. You know, I like to talk about bunnies. And that's the thing is that I like to go out and try to find the analogies that make sense to me, because what I'm trying to really figure out is why is everything like this? How did we get like this? You know, sometimes it's like this picture here where if you look closer, I'm going to put more greens and more things, but it's actually when you take a picture of the wetlands, sometimes it sort of looks like this. Here, let's put our turtle, and let's put our frog. I forgot to do those. Okay, and then there might be like a fish over here. Okay, so there's all different types of animals, and what I wanted to say is if I take a picture of like the rocks and the mud and the grass and everything all mixed together, it looks kind of like muddy. Like it doesn't look like something you would love. But if you look at it long enough and you realize what's happening, you're saying, well, how did it get like this? It has almost the perfect balance of everything that it needs. Just in this one little picture that I can take, it has just enough moss or just enough rock or just enough mud or just enough sticks and other things and plants and then animals. I'm sure there's bugs in there and all different things. And that to me is beautiful. It actually makes sense because, like I said, the universe in every piece of every time of every space, it's going to put the right amount of energy to balance it out into a harmony. Thanks for listening. Subscribe and like, and let me know in the comments what else you would like to see. If you've liked any of my previous videos, I'm going to be repeating them so that we can get good. Thanks.